Pamela, are you on the line? Okay. And Nat, are you still have audio? And just so everyone's aware, Nonprofit Easy is the name of my company, and FundlyConnect is a product that we offer. So we have different websites that are public facing, and for our clients, FundlyConnect.com is the website that really hosts our volunteer management system and where you go to log in to the tool, as well as just kind of see what sort of volunteer opportunities are in your area. This is a site that is fairly new. We just released the latest version of this product in December, and with that release, we also revamped the website. So you'll see FundlyConnect.com. I'm in the demo account, so it says FundlyConnect Demo. But you also have FundlyCRM.com, and that's another product that we offer at Nonprofit Easy. So alongside of the volunteer management system, we also do fundraising and donor management software with our Fundly CRM product. And then finally, just to kind of give you a sense of who we are as a company, Fundly.com is the home base for our crowdfunding and for our peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns. So we really have three main products that we offer, which is the crowdfunding, the CRM, and also the Connect product, which is designed for volunteer centers as well as nonprofit agencies who have a need for robust volunteer management, and in addition to what we would call a premium agency who has their own site, kind of like Nat's organization. We also have free accounts, and those free accounts are given some functionality that allow them to post to volunteer centers. So they can create opportunities and actually post those opportunities to a volunteer center so that individuals and volunteers can sign up for those opportunities. And then on the back end, obviously, the agency would be able to manage those volunteers, log hours, schedule, and do everything associated to volunteer management. So I'm going to sign into the Connect tool. We're not going to be looking at the CRM today, and we're not going to be looking at the crowdfunding, but if those are ever areas of interest, or if you want to understand what our CRM is all about or how we support crowdfunding campaigns, that's also something we do. One last note just to mention is FundlyConnect is an integrated product to our CRM. So many of our clients, especially volunteer centers, have purchased FundlyConnect as well as Fundly CRM because they have additional needs other than just volunteer management. So just understand there are other products that we offer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip screens here and open up my version of FundlyConnect, and the first thing I'm going to do is log in as an organization. So directly from the FundlyConnect.com website, you have your sign-in screen where you either sign in as a volunteer or as a team, or sign in as an organization. So this is one way of accessing your login from that page. Now another way of doing that, which I believe is the way that most people will access your page, is through your actual portal. So right now what I'm doing is going to and navigating to a sample organization that has a public portal, and we're going to take a look at kind of what that looks like through this product. And in today's example, we'll be looking at a fake organization called the Atlanta Charitable Society. So this is the public-facing side of the product. You'll notice we have the logins for volunteers and teams up here, as well as the organization up in the upper right. What you're looking at, again, is the interface for the public portal where volunteers can come search for volunteer opportunities. You can have some information about your organization below, as well as metrics that help people understand your impact in the community. So how many volunteers do you have? How many opportunities are posted on your site? and again, some of the outcomes that your programs have left in the community. So I just clicked on search opportunities, and that takes me into the list of 16 opportunities that my organization has posted. In this case, Nat, we're looking at a volunteer centers account. This would be very similar to a premium agency account as well. It's just that they are working with other nonprofits who are posting volunteer opportunities to their site. So for this demonstration, we will be looking at the volunteer center account. However, most of the functionality that you see today is also relevant for a nonprofit organization. Obviously, there's some additional things that volunteer centers are doing that nonprofits are not going to be doing, right? So they manage these other organizations who are posting volunteer opportunities to this public site. So just looking at a volunteer opportunity, let's go ahead and pick one of these. I'll go with building better schools. So I can either view or apply to the opportunity directly from this site. And this will show me a description of the opportunity, when it occurs, what the schedule looks like, obviously the contact for the opportunity, then cause, skills, activity, who you're serving, etc. Description of the opportunity below the picture that I've included in here. So this opportunity is with Covenant House, Georgia, and it's posted to the Atlanta Charitable Society website. From here, I can then apply to the opportunity or go back if I'm not interested. You'll also notice sponsors at the bottom of the screen. Looking back in the advanced search, I can also include some different parameters like when I'm available. Obviously, this is key for many people as everyone works a day job for the most part. So you can select different days you're available. Monday or Tuesday morning and Friday evenings are the best times for me. And if I hit continue, obviously the search results will yield a different outcome based on what I've put in here in the parameters. I also have what I would like to do. So again, someone could come on to your volunteer center site and select who they want to serve with. So these are the partner agencies that my volunteer center works with. I could then select that specific nonprofit, see what kind of volunteer opportunities are available for that organization. And as you can see, the search parameters and criteria are listed here. So for a nonprofit who has this site, in Nat's case, you would not see other organizations here. You would just have your own. So what skill sets do I want to use? What causes do I want to serve? And what's the activity type? Some of this stuff is customized by me, like this system activity type 1. That was just a sample. But you can select and create your own activity types, your own causes. You can add to the skills. You can create your own age groups here. So if you work with a certain age group, you can include that in your search criteria. You can also search by team. So I want to look for opportunities only accepting team applications. So that's the general search on a website. If you look at the structure of the website, you have some menu bars at the top of the screen. You also have system-generated things and items listed in the gray area. So for organizations, if I want to become a partner, I could select that, and that would take me into information about becoming a partner. I've included some additional things here like student section. So if I click on the student section, that's going to direct me or redirect me to a page that I've created. This was for Arkansas State University, who I was showcasing this to. You know, they have some information about their students on here. I also have a volunteer calendar. So this calendar is going to showcase all of the orientations and trainings on my site, as well as all of the volunteer opportunities. Obviously, for the sake of having a sample database, I've included some opportunities that recur each and every day, so this fills up. But this is going to show you the opportunities that are available, as well as the times they're available. And if you want to click in and see more information about that opportunity, you can do that there. You can also filter by recurring opportunities or ongoing opportunities, as well as one-time opportunities. So I'll take off ongoing, which is going to limit my results. And then for the week, you can see here, I've got these opportunities. For the day, I've got these opportunities. So you have these day, week, month views, as well as do you want to look at opportunities or orientations and trainings only. So the calendar is pretty nice. Obviously, it's coded with a color based on whether it's training or opportunity. If you click on one of those opportunities from the calendar, it's going to take you into the volunteer opportunity details. Additionally, you have a list of your partner organizations listed on your site. People want to know who you work with. So here are the nonprofits that we work with. The nonprofit can upload their logo into this area, and then you can also search the opportunities that are associated to that partner organization. Additionally, we have a team sign up as well. We've made this so that corporate teams can get in here and actually create teams. So if you do work with CSR programs or other corporate entities, or if you have a group of, for example, Delta has a group of CPAs here in Atlanta that like to volunteer at the food bank every weekend, that volunteer leader or that volunteer head could actually come in here and create a team in the system and sign up. So I'll just go ahead and quickly showcase that. You can also sign up using social media, either Google Plus or Facebook. And what this is doing is it's saying I already have a login, and it's pulling up my login information. I've already used that email, so I'm just going to log in now as a team leader. Okay. So I have now logged in as Mike Wayne, you'll notice, because it recognized that this person already has an account. So it requested that I log in. You can see my email is what I just put in there. And now what I do is put in my team details. So what is my team name? So we're a group of 15 CPAs or accountants, and we're a corporate team. And you just go in and fill out the rest of the information. You then list out which causes that you want to be a part of or that interest you, look at additional information and sign your agreements. I'm going to quickly go through here and just fill this out. I don't think this is all required, so let's go ahead and hit next. Now we're on to step 2, which is our causes. So what interests us as a team? And those causes come into play later when you are searching for opportunities. You'll get recommended opportunities based off of your causes. The team will have a list of recommended opportunities that fit those causes. Now, additional info is basically questions that you guys have created in the back end of the system to ask your volunteers or your teams when they sign up for accounts. So a lot of this is just duplicate information, but general miscellaneous info, what is your ethnicity? This doesn't necessarily come into play for a team. I was doing this for a different hands-on affiliate a few weeks ago, so I have some other information there. I have ethnicity again and ethnicity again. I really like that one. And my income level. So you wouldn't necessarily have to ask these questions. It's just this is what my nonprofit or my volunteer center has decided to ask of people when they sign up for accounts. Then I have agreements. So I have a liability agreement that I can pull up here, and that will download the agreement. I have a DSHS agreement. I have a United Way agreement here. So I've included some sample agreements. All right, so here's my agreement. I can now review this and sign up. Okay, so you have a dashboard. Every volunteer will have a dashboard when they get into the system. I'm going to spend just a few minutes on this, and then we're going to switch over to the actual agency side of things and what you guys would be looking at in your back-end system. So this is for Mike Wayne, the volunteer. You can see the number of hours he's logged, the number of opportunities he's worked, and the number of opportunities that he has registered for that are pending approval. This is what the volunteer would see when they log into the system. So each volunteer is going to have a nice dashboard and a menu of options that they can look at that are really helpful to stay organized and just in general to understand what the next step is with your volunteer opportunities. So in my opportunities, these are the things that I've applied to: help build a better Jonesboro, tutoring underprivileged children. You can see there's a next step with these opportunities. So I'm pending approval. What that means is the agency or the volunteer center is reviewing my my volunteer application. And once that's approved, the next step will be to be scheduled for the volunteer opportunity. So if this is maybe stuck here for a while, you don't know what's going on, and this opportunity is coming up pretty quickly, you can send an email to the coordinator and tell them or ask them some questions. You also have recommended opportunities based off of your criteria that you filled out when you signed up for the system. So that's just the general dashboard that you see here. And then you also have a team dashboard. So a volunteer may be a part of different teams. As you can see here, you have Delta CPAs. That is now my team dashboard. I'm the team captain of that team. You can also have a co-captain who can do some things to help out, such as adding additional team members. So we don't have any opportunities we've signed up for yet. We also don't have any members besides myself. So I can directly from the application create new members and send them login information for their own Fundly accounts. Now every volunteer is going to have a Fundly account that they can log into. So if I'll create a volunteer named Pamela Little here. A mobile number is required because we use this to check in volunteers using a different system. It's also a unique identifier. Okay, Pamela is now a member of my team, and I need to create a user for Pamela. So I'd click Create User, give her a username, and then hit the check mark. Go with Pam. So using the email that we put into the system, it's now going to send her an email. I can also reset her password from here or remove her from the team if she is no longer a Delta CPA. That's the team dashboard. You can click on some of these things like hours logged or members. You can also add the co-captain here, which can do pretty much the same thing in terms of the captain. Managing your documents is just basically going to show you or give you a place to upload documents that you want. You can also share those documents with other organizations. So if an organization requests that you fill something out, you can share that with them from this section. Search preferences allow you to tell the system when you're available, who you'd like to serve, all those causes. We've really made it easy for our users, I think, to fill out what they're looking for, and then provide a list of recommended opportunities based off of these search preferences. So obviously, activity type, again, you can create your own. There are some out-of-the-box ones that we have hard-coded in. Skill sets, again, you can create your own, and causes, you can create your own. Distance is going to be the distance from the address that the person gave. Then finally, you have a profile and also a calendar. So this is your profile. You can add certain skills and causes that you like. You can upload a profile picture. You can tell the system how you want to receive notifications and what your communication preferences are. It's really just a record. Now, as Mike Wayne changes this record, it's also going to change in the Volunteer Center's record. So that's a nice feature as well. And then you have a volunteer calendar. So Mike will have the ability to view his calendar to see what's upcoming on his plate. So he can do this by opportunity. So he's got 2 opportunities here that he's applied to. Again, he hasn't been approved for those, so it's not going to show up. But basically, you'd have your opportunity and the next steps for that opportunity on this calendar from a week view as well as a month view. So that is the basics of a volunteer account. These are the volunteer centers that I am associated with, right? So if I select one of those volunteer centers, it's just going to pull up some details about that volunteer center and my relationship with the volunteer center. So I'm part of the Kids for Kids program. I've signed some agreements here. As you can see, I filled out those custom questions that they asked me. But for each association I have, because I could be associated to more than one volunteer center, I can change my details here and also see what I've filled out and see what agreements I've signed. Okay, so that is from the perspective of a volunteer. I'll go ahead and log out now, and for the remainder of the demonstration, we're going to take a look at how a volunteer center, as well as a premium agency who is using the system, would manage volunteers and create their public portal and really just interact with the agencies they work with as well as the volunteers they work with. So looking at our pricing, just to kind of help everyone understand the different subscriptions in here, you'll notice that we have 2 different options. If you're a volunteer center, you'll click Volunteer Center. If you're a nonprofit, you'll click Nonprofit. Now, you'll notice in the nonprofit section, these are going to be your partner organizations if you're a volunteer center, or this will be where a nonprofit that has a robust volunteer management need would come to sign up. You'll notice there's a free subscription. It's really just creating and posting opportunities to volunteer centers. We also have admin licenses for paid subscribers to the nonprofit account who are looking for a little bit more in terms of volunteer management and having their own volunteer portal like we just looked at for my sample. So most of the partner agencies for a volunteer center will create a free account. They don't have to do it from here. They can do it from your site. But I just wanted to make that clear that a volunteer center would sign up here and a nonprofit would sign up here. Okay, I'm going to flip my screen one more time, and we're going to take a look at the back end from a volunteer center and premium agency subscriber. So once again, I can navigate to the sample site that I'm using in my demonstration and go ahead and log in this time as an organization. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. And when you log into the tool, you'll notice, again, we're logged in as a volunteer center. So you have volunteers. You also have organizations, since you're managing organizations, and you have opportunities. If you're a premium agency or a premium nonprofit subscriber, you're not going to see organizations there. You'll also notice some different metrics. Here's how many partner opportunities we have. Here's how many volunteer applications we're awaiting to review, the number of opportunities and organizations awaiting approval. These are all settings that you can set up in the system depending on how much oversight you want over your program. If you want to have to approve volunteer applications every time they come in, you can do that. Or if you want to have to approve organizations to post to your site, you can do that as well. You also have a volunteer summary based on dates. So I could search from January to February, how many new volunteers do I have? And I could click on this stuff and actually see the total number of volunteers who match that description here. We're working on this last one, but we have 3 different dashboard charts right now, and we hope to improve upon these and make these even better that show you the number of active versus inactive volunteers, the number of hours by opportunity. So I could click on this opportunity, for instance, which is dog care, and 41% of my volunteer hours are through this opportunity dog care, and see who my volunteers are for that opportunity, or for Feel Good Every Day opportunity. How many or who are my volunteers? So it's a nice little pop-out window that you can use to visualize data directly on the home page. This volunteer hours by program is designed for organizations that have programs and want to really understand how other nonprofits who are joining programs are utilizing it, and which opportunities and which programs are really more successful, who's coming out to volunteer at certain programs. So the navigation of this is really, you log in, you come to a dashboard, and then you have a menu option in the upper right-hand corner, which will open up the modules in the system. So it's organized by your settings up on the upper left here, and then you have different kind of tasks that you would do on a daily basis. I like to show a few things first, and one of those things is our communication center. So one thing that we have done that I think is really awesome is created our own MailChimp Lite, is kind of how I like to call it, within this system. So FundlyConnect offers you the ability to create communications and send communications to your partner agencies as well as to volunteers. So what we're doing here is basically setting up a communication or setting up a template to go out, a newsletter or some sort of message to go out to either volunteers or organizations. So within here I can create a new communication. Let's call it hands-on affiliate messaging. The sender name will be Dan W. and my email. Subject is welcome to the Connect train. Now, if I'm a volunteer center, what I'm doing is I'm messaging my organizations about this new functionality that you're getting with FundlyConnect, right? So one of the things, if you ever decide to migrate to FundlyConnect from hands-on, is you'll want to message and make very clear what's happening with your public portal, what's happening with your website, and just the changes that will occur with individual profiles. So this might be a message I send initially in the system to let people know about FundlyConnect and what's happening. So I can actually create templates from the system. I can create new templates right from within FundlyConnect. We have 3 main templates that we use today. This is a very simple one, and we have 2 others that you can edit and change. So I'll select a template, and this will load up that MailChimp-ish functionality. So it's pretty cool. It's got the ability to drag and drop just like you've seen in Constant Contact or some of your other email marketing tools. You can change things like the color of the template you're sending out, put dividers in to help split things up. And obviously edit each of the widgets here that you see. So putting in a picture, I put in an invalid file size, so let's try that again. And there's full photo editing capability within here as well. So you can adjust photos so that they fit the right size, the sharpness, the brightness, the cropping of photos is available here. So obviously if I wanted this to be a little bit thinner in terms of height or a little bit shorter in terms of height, I could do that. But you get the idea. That's how you go about creating your newsletters. Then you can have buttons as well. So maybe you're driving donations through this newsletter, you can have a donate button, which would take someone to a fundraising page. You then want to name your template. So this is going to be I'm just making up some names and categories here for this template. Now we have the new platform template. We save it and we X out. So now we have our template. You can see I have quite a few untitled and other templates. New platform is the one we just created. I can preview this, edit it, or create a new one. I can also add an attachment. So if there's other things you're sending out, as long as it's under 4 megabytes, you can send that out to your recipients, whether it's organizations or volunteers. The next thing I have to do is select my recipients. Now we're sending this to organizations, so if I just hit search now, it's going to pull all of the organizations in my database because we're looking at default filters. This is someone who has a communication preference with email and they have a primary email in the account. And we've already selected we want organizations, so that's a given. So if I hit search, it should pull 4 or 5 organizations, and you can see it yielded 5 recipients. I can click on those 5 recipients and see who they are. They should all be organizations. These are all the organizations that are posting to my volunteer center. The same thing would be true for volunteers. So if I went back to my setup and selected volunteers, it would pull anyone that has an email and a preference turned on. So you can get a little bit more granular than this, and you can select certain criteria like, all right, I want to look at people or organizations in this case only in Atlanta. So you're just querying off of fields in the database. There's other options as well. If you're collecting questions on your volunteers, you can see here I have how many children do you have and how big is your organization, right? So if one of my questions I asked was how big is your organization, and the answers were over 1 million or under 1 million, those options would show up here, and I could send out custom messaging to to that group of people. So it will reduce the results or increase the results, and basically allow you to get more targeted with your emails. I can also select other recipients at the bottom, and then I confirm my email. I send my email. You can send a test email. So before you get crazy and send out, some error, you can send it to yourself, make sure it looks good. And that should hit my inbox in just a second. So that is the communication module in the system. I also have a communication history, which shows me things that I have sent already. You can see I've got some examples here, and I can come in here and view a summary of email metrics. So this will show me who's opened email, who's clicked on links in the email, who has bounced, total open. So you can sort all this by whatever you'd like, and this is giving you an idea of, again, some pretty nice metrics for if your message is getting across. So that's the communication center. My templates is basically just where you would store and save your templates that you create. You also have 5 buttons at the top of your screen. So you have a search button, which will take you into searching for volunteers, as well as an advanced search, which allows you to select those parameters that we just looked at. We have adding a volunteer, adding an opportunity, adding hours, or adding an organization to the back end. I also have a list of the last 10 people, last 10 volunteer records I've looked at. So I'll go ahead and click on Dan, and let's go into an individual record to see what that looks like. And here you'll notice his communication preferences. So send email, yes. Send text, no. One functionality that we're working on is text message reminders and things of that nature. That's probably later in the year that you'll see that come into play. But this is what the profile looks like. You have his email address. You can email this volunteer directly from his profile. That'll open up a little email client, and you can send him attachments or send him a reminder or something along those lines. You also have his phone number there. Along the bottom of the profile are summaries on how much this individual has volunteered, as well as trainings and opportunities that he is affiliated with, and then other blocks of information like programs he's associated to, causes he's selected, other custom information that I have filled out. So as you can see here, you can do a lot of these functions from different areas in the software. So if I search a volunteer, or open up one of my previous volunteers and come in here and log hours for this individual, I can do that right from here. So I can select the assignment. I can go and actually log hours for the opportunities he's signed up for and scheduled for. I don't have to do it from that place, though. I can do that in other places in the system as well. Here's his volunteer application form if you need to go back and review that. This is what he filled out. And then if you want to look at his verified hours, you could come in here and check out his verified hours or his unverified hours and actually verify those. So you can do a number of things from the volunteer record. You can also assign this individual to a volunteer opportunity. So if someone calls in and says, hey, can you sign me up for something? You have the ability to just open their record up and select the opportunity you want to assign them to. I've already applied to dog care a few times, so let's do personal shopper. So an organization that I worked with had personal shoppers for people with disabilities. So personal shopper was something they wanted to, was a volunteer opportunity they wanted to provide, and now I have a personal shopper opportunity in my profile, and I'm scheduling. The next step is scheduling that opportunity. So now you'd go in and select the venue, the position, the shift that this person is looking to try that again. I may have not filled out my positions for this actual opportunity or my shift, so it's not yielding a good result. So we'll come back to that, but just understand you can do all your volunteer management from the individual record. Now, that's just looking at what a record looks like. You can also edit the volunteer from here, so you can make any changes that you need to make directly from within the record. Obviously, people's preferences, addresses, and other information change over time. They become inactive, perhaps. Maybe if you see his joining date. So maybe if this person calls in and says, "Hey, I don't want to volunteer anymore," you can make them inactive. Let's talk about designing your public site. That's a big piece that everyone always wants to see. We've made this, I think, a whole lot easier than how Hands-On Connect had it. I've gotten feedback from a number of clients who have said that this is much easier, and it makes it clean and easy, and just makes the template a whole lot easier to work with. So when you go to edit your template, it takes you within the browser to your actual site, right? This is the site we looked at before, but now I have some options in line. I can go back into the software and do some other things, or I can edit the template right from here. So this is going to allow me to basically change my page directly from within the tool. So I can edit content on my home page. I can make this bigger, obviously. I have the source code. If you have a web developer or someone who's familiar with HTML. And then I have the ability to kind of add whatever I want onto my home screen. So there's different types of menu items that appear when you edit the template. The home screen is obviously going to be this main area where people are reading about your cause, reading about your mission, reading about the work you do. You also have some other options in terms of toggling on or off metrics about your program. How many volunteer opportunities do we have? How many volunteers do we have? And how many hours have people volunteered? So you can cut those on or off, and they'll show up here. You also have an image slider where you can put your images in for your main page. And then you have menu items at the top. So what are the menu items you want to be listed there underneath the organization and the team and the volunteers area? So I have student section, for instance. This is a text page I've created, but maybe I have another menu item, and that menu item is donate. I want to have donations all over this page. I'm looking to raise money on top of volunteer time. Donate here. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting in a URL. So this is a URL type of menu item. And now when I preview my site, you'll notice I have a donate here listed on this toolbar. So if I open this up in a new tab, or if I clicked on that, what this is doing is taking me to a donation page, right? So this is kind of just linking out to your donation page. This is actually our CRM donation page that we have in our CRM that I've linked to. So if your organization was using our CRM, you could link your donation page directly on your FundlyConnect site, but you can do any page you want, any URL you want right here. Some of this stuff is hard-coded, like calendar. Programs are going to be the list of programs that you've configured in the system. At the top, you have a message area. So if you need help, please contact us here, or here's our mission, here's our motto, your logo in the upper left. And then you also have configuration of the shades. So my organization's yellow. My colors are yellow. So button colors, shades of background color, all this can be edited directly from within the tool. You also have a recent opportunities widget along the right-hand side of the screen. So you can keep that open. Those are the recent opportunities that have been posted on your site. And that's really a general overview of how this works. Again, these menu items will allow you to create text pages or landing pages. Some examples of that might be a student section or a corporate services section. But then there's also other things that are built in, as I mentioned. When you go to add menu items, we have some out-of-the-box menu items, as well as the text page and external URL and some other things. So keep it really simple. That's the key. And when you're done, you just save it and then click back. That takes you back into the software, back to your main menu. We looked at Design My Public Site. Let's now look at configurations. You'll notice the list of configurations along the left-hand side of the screen, as well as right here. As I mentioned, I can add to activity types and age group served and causes. I'll pull one of these open. I'm not going to show all of them. But if you're in causes, you'll see our list of standard causes, but you can create your own. So you can call it early childhood development. Maybe that's the name of a cause we want to promote. And then we have that now listed as a cause in our system. So I can very quickly go to some of the other configurations here on the left-hand side. Agreements is going to be my list of agreements, right? Custom data sets is one that everyone always likes. So here's my agreements that you can upload right from here. But custom data sets allow you to ask questions of people who are interacting with you. So I can add a new data set to the system, and I can actually make it applicable to volunteers who are signing up on our site, to organizations who are signing up on our site, or on opportunities. So you can ask custom data sets or questions of people on an opportunity level, at the organization sign-up level, or at the volunteer sign-up level. So just going through this really quickly, we'll call it demographic data, or tell us about yourself, let's say that. And we'll apply it to volunteers. And now we have the ability to add fields. So tell us about yourself. What do we want to know? Your age. And we can make this a number field. You can make it required if you'd like, or make it staff use only for your staff to fill out on people. So now I have age. What about, well, county is probably not a good one, but something else that you can think of that maybe would be a drop down, like number. Right, so you just keep adding your options there, and that will show up when the individual volunteer signs up on your site. So we have data sets that are basically applicable to the volunteer sign-up level, the organization sign-up level, or the opportunity sign-up level. We also offer program level security and programs. So a program is essentially a band of opportunities, a grouping of opportunities that make up a program. So I have a tax assistance program that the United Way puts on as the VITA program, Kids for Kids mentoring program, a holiday program. And our programs in the system are, again, basically a listing of opportunities that make up just a wider array of those opportunities. And you can see here, as a volunteer center, I have programs that I list on my site, and I have organizations who participate in those programs that are posting opportunities that volunteers are signing up for and logging hours. So the VITA program or the Holiday Helpers program, for instance, are color-coded green or purple or red, and I have settings for those programs. Do we need to approve organizations in order for them to actually be a part of this program? Yes or no? When they post an opportunity, do we have to approve that? Yes or no? When a volunteer applies for that program, yes or no? So you can turn on different settings and toggle settings for the opportunities that are making up the programs. You can have program sponsors and program agreements and a logo for the program. And again, this is a holiday program, so I've got just some holiday lingo down here. And I'll save that program. So there's different settings, again, that are important to understand in more depth. once you've created your program. Now, once you've done that, program level security is a big thing. What this allows you to do is, by program, set up certain users who can administer only those opportunities related to the Holiday Helpers program. So if I have a user by the name of Holiday Helpers admin in the system, and I associate them to this program only and none of these other programs, then they're only going to see the opportunities affiliated to the Holiday Helpers program. I can also look at it by user. So Dan Wayne is the user, Holiday Helpers admin is the user. What programs are they associated to that they can review opportunities for? If you're just a volunteer coordinator, that's what you'd be doing. If you're an administrator in the system, you can see everything. But if you're a volunteer coordinator role in the system, you would basically use this program level security to not deny, well, I guess you could consider it denying access to certain things that you don't want them to see. We also have email notifications and reminders in the system. And these email notifications will go out anytime a password is reset, or someone forgets their username and clicks, or an opportunity requires an approval. For instance, your organization or your user will get a note saying, you know, you need to approve this this opportunity that someone posted. So these are all the different out-of-the-box email notifications that we provide. You can edit these, obviously, to say whatever you want them to say and to be sent from whoever you want them to be sent from. So dear agency, unfortunately your opportunity has been rejected. The opportunity was dog walking, the program was Holiday Helpers, and it was rejected by Dan. That's just an example of one of those notifications. Another notification is a volunteer sign up. Thanks for registering, Dan. Here's the website to register, or here's the website to log in. Here's your username. Here's your password. Now, when coming from FundlyConnect, or when coming from Hands-On Connect, yeah, there's some initial groundwork you have to do to notify people what changes are coming and really what's going on. So we have an out-of-the-box message that we can send, or you can send, to your volunteers as well as to your partner organizations about the changes. So that's something we work on together as part of the data migration and as part of the project plan overall. We also have reminder notifications. So this is the reminder email that will go out to your volunteers. You guys have probably seen this in Hands-On Connect or something similar. Dear Dan, this is a reminder you were registered to participate in this opportunity at this location. Here's the description. If you can't make it, please let us know. So 7 days before the date, you can send that to the volunteer on the volunteering date, or you can change this to 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever. Okay, let's look at the Opportunity Search widget. This is a very cool feature. I'm actually going to pull up my Atlanta charitable website. So this is a real organization here in Atlanta. It's a fledgling group that hopes to connect young millennials or young professionals with volunteer opportunities. So on my site, I'm going to click on volunteer, and I'm going to come back to this. But just understand that this website will work with our widgets, our opportunity widgets in FundlyConnect. So an opportunity widget is basically a search widget that you guys can provide to corporate partners as well as nonprofit agencies that allow you to post specific volunteer opportunities to a widget that they can then post on their website or any website that they want to post it on. So if they have an intranet or if they have a corporate side where people can log in, you could post or have them post a widget showcasing all of the volunteer opportunities that fit their core tenets or their core pillars of CSR or whatever. So I can create a new widget, and I can create as many widgets as I want. So I can create one called Children's Fund. So maybe the Children's Fund is a nonprofit that works with my volunteer center. What I want to do is actually put in a logo for the Children's Fund. Maybe it's a better, maybe that's a better title since this is Friends of Veterans logo. And when I put that widget title in, that is basically the basis for the widget. And what I have to do now is build my widget criteria. So the first thing is, do I want only specific organizations on the widget? And if I just choose that one, it's just going to show organization opportunities, volunteer opportunities that fit those organizations on my widget. So it's loading it up, and that's not really the best picture size, obviously, but you can see now it's only pulling Covenant House and Mentor Me volunteer opportunities. If I change that to this freebie one and hit Save Build Criteria, it should change to just opportunities for freebie. So as a volunteer center, you can do this for all your partners and say, hey, look, we're going to give you a widget with your logo on it. You can post this on your agency site, and people can then apply directly from your website, or they can go directly to the opportunity that sounds like a good fit. You can also do other things like select causes. So maybe I don't want to just work with organizations. Maybe I want to work with a specific cause. Adult education. We have a big push for adult education. Well, these are the adult education opportunities. So building this criteria out allows you to generate a script that you can copy and paste directly into WordPress or whatever CMS you're using. So what I've done here with Atlanta Charitable Society is I've actually created one, and I have, and this is one just for Covenant House, and I have all of the Covenant House opportunities on my site. So I can then, as a volunteer, come here and say, Helping Hands, let's see what that's all about, open that up, and that takes me directly into the Helping Hands opportunity. So I like that a lot, and it really empowers corporate partners as well as agencies you work with. We also have a donation widget. So on your public site, you can put a donation widget on your site. If you want to see more of that, we can show that at a later time. So we're at the hour. I'm going to go ahead and proceed for the next 30 minutes. If anyone needs to hop off, that's fine. I am recording this, but just wanted to do a time check. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take a look at how to post an opportunity to FundlyConnect. So we are in the back end of the system as a volunteer center, as I mentioned. So you have partner opportunities as well as our opportunities. Our opportunities are the opportunities to volunteer with the volunteer center. And here I have active and inactive opportunities. I can filter this by opportunity name or by program name, etc. And I have a listing here of all my active opportunities, the volunteers for those opportunities, the number of hours. Let's go ahead and add an advanced opportunity. So it's a 4-step process. You name the opportunity. Select an opportunity owner, so who's going to be managing that opportunity, and then is it associated to a program? It doesn't have to be, so you don't have to have a program there. I'm going to go ahead and just do the VITA program here. We have virtual opportunity as an option, and then the location you would set up, as well as position. So you can name the position tutor. In this example, put an hourly value in there, and you could save and add a new position if you wanted. If you had multiple positions, you could do that. So I have 2 positions. A volunteer is the default position. And then we add our opportunity details. You could put a picture in, you could put some other colorful designs in here or different text, and then you go to the next step. The next step is important. This is requirements for the opportunity. This is probably the biggest, just the biggest area that you need to look out for. It automatically puts in the keyword of your volunteer center, which I signed up as Social Genius, but I demo as Atlanta Charitable Society, and then the name of the opportunity. But maybe kids is a word that you want people to be able to search and find this opportunity, or children if they're doing a keyword search. You select the cause and the skills. And then you have some different options. So volunteer can schedule for this opportunity. Do you want the volunteer to be able to create their own schedule? No. I don't want I need to actually do that as the organizer of the volunteer opportunity. Do you want to display it on the public calendar? Yes. Do you want the volunteer to actually log their own hours for the opportunity? So in some cases, the volunteer can actually go in and log their own hours in that volunteer profile that I showed you earlier. So do you want that volunteer to be able to do that, yes or no? Is there an approval required for the volunteer application before they can be approved to the next step, yes or no? I'll say no. And is there an orientation or training required, yes or no? So it's for adults, it's for families, male and female, and so who will be benefited from the opportunity? It's children and youth, and then the age of the volunteer we're looking for is adults. Groups and teams are allowed to apply for this opportunity as an option. And then do you need that group information? So do you need everyone's email address and names, or do you just want the ability to say, no, just sign up 10 people and we trust you'll bring 10? So I'll say no. Their information is not required for this opportunity. What that means, again, is when I go to sign up as a team, and I put in my 10 people, I'm going to have to actually put in the 10 people's names and email addresses if this is turned on. If it's turned off, I won't have to do that. And I just put in, hey, we've got 10 people coming. Application form, you guys can create your own forms for the opportunity and call this creative form. And then you add your fields, name, email, mobile, whatever fields you guys want to capture. How about custom data sets? So custom questions. Well, here's some of the information that we talked about earlier. Demo data, volunteer agreements. So all that and all those fields you saw earlier were coming from the form that I set up for the opportunity. So each opportunity can have its own form, and each agreement you can upload for different forms. So this is called the creative form. I must have not have saved it, but you get the idea. You select which form you want. And then also, do we want to auto check people out of the volunteer opportunity when the shift ends? So if I am scheduled for a 2 to 4 shift, do we automatically check them out at 4 at the end of their scheduled volunteer time, or after a set amount of hours, do we automatically check them out? This relates to a kiosk option we have called Time It. So that's another thing we'll get to. But just understand there's different auto checkout types if someone forgets to punch out of a volunteer opportunity. And then do we want to auto log their hours when we mark them as an attended volunteer? So if they were scheduled to volunteer for 6 hours, will we auto log their hours if we mark that volunteer as attended? So they'll automatically get 6 hours of volunteer time if we say they've attended the event. Then we create our schedule and shift. So we'll just say it's a weekly, every Friday or every second Saturday this happens, every first Saturday of the month except for Christmas. So you have some different options there. You can also set schedules for locations. So this is for the default location we have every Saturday, every other Saturday, and then we add our shift. Morning, cannot type. So from 7 a.m. on Saturday morning to 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, we're looking for tutors and volunteers. We're looking for 5 tutors and 10 other general volunteers. And then I could create another shift. So we're looking for an afternoon shift. And we're just looking for tutors. We don't need volunteers in the afternoon, so we need 2 tutors. You can make it flexible time. Now we have our scheduling completed. So we just created a schedule for people to work every first Saturday of the month. There's tutors and there's volunteers. We need 10 tutors and 5 volunteers, or 10 volunteers and 2 tutors for the morning shift. Then we need specific people for the afternoon shift. So we have 2 shifts, as you can see, morning and afternoon. You can edit them from right here. The final step is just publishing. You hit publish on site and you're good. You can schedule this for a different date. So you could schedule it for in the future if you wanted. And then you can share with Facebook or share with Google+. It's not going to work on my demo account, I don't think. Okay, so that's the process of creating an opportunity. Now, how do you manage that opportunity? So Creative Helpers is our opportunity. Someone could obviously apply online for the opportunity and fill out the information. They would then flow into the back end of the database right here, and you would see a number 1 here. But I can also just add someone from the back end too. So I'll say Dan Wayne. So maybe he's not in my database. It's going to ask me, do I want to create a user for Dan Wayne, and automatically send him a username and a password. So that's an option that's pretty nice. So you can actually create a username for that person. You don't have to, but I just created a guy named Dan Wayne. I didn't create a user for him, and then I assign him as the volunteer. Let me refresh here. And now I have 1 volunteer signed up for Creative Helpers. So let's go ahead and open up that volunteer and see who that is. We know it's Dan. You have the next step is to schedule this individual. So we'll schedule him at the default location for the morning shift. For the tutor role, because he's a teacher, and you can select the days of the week that you want. Obviously, it's just Saturday in this case, but you can select dates or days of the week, and then when you want him tutoring. So you can set the dates if it's a date. And you'd say from what I forgot to do is select my date. Let's see what I'm doing here. Tuesdays. think what I missed was I made this maybe a one-time event. See, it says it starts from 2/3 to 2/3. So I needed to change that. So that's why it's not allowing me to select the actual dates that he's available. So let's look at a different opportunity. But you get the idea there and how you would schedule someone. Let's look at this one for dog care, since that seems to be a popular one. Here you can see I have a team that's applied as well as individuals. So here I can log their hours. So I've already done the scheduling part, but I can also invite people. So I can invite people to come to my volunteering event, just like we did for the newsletter and the communication. I can also create invites in the system for specific volunteer opportunities. So what this allows you to do is essentially invite corporate partners to specific opportunities that aren't available to the public. You don't have to post them online. You can just create your opportunity like we did for dog care, keep it off the page, and then select invitees. And then select your invitees for that specific opportunity. So let's go back into dog care. And just like we did with the template for the newsletters, now we have invite templates that we can change and edit. You also have opportunity notification settings. So similar to the system settings, you can enable the opportunity notification by opportunity. So you can enable it or disable it for an opportunity if you don't want to send notifications. As part of managing an opportunity, you also have the ability to quick assign volunteers. So you don't just have to do it one at a time. You can quickly assign a group of volunteers to an opportunity. So we'll say United Way, or let's say Creative Helpers. We'll say this config 1 for the morning shift for the tutor position from 7 to 10, which we had scheduled. And again, let's try a different one. Sometimes I don't always complete the shifts and the positions, which can make it tough to actually assign a number of volunteers. So from what time? Well, it's from 6 to 9, so let's do 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. You can see this is every Monday, so you have 2/8, 2/15, 2/22, 2/29. You select the Mondays that you want these people to be assigned, and then hit next. And how many volunteers are you looking to assign? We need 15, and we've got 15. Right, so now we have 15 slots for those volunteers, and we have all this filled out. Morning shift at the headquarters, it's for the position of volunteer from 6 to 9. You then go about choosing your volunteers. Now I've already created Dan in the database, but since it's my sample database, I don't think it's catching me. There we go. So it should pull up your volunteers, and you fill this out. So you would fill this out for all of your 15 volunteers and hit next, and then now they would all be scheduled for that specific mass assignment that you just set up. So now when I go back to my opportunities, you're going to have 15 people signed up for that opportunity. It becomes a lot easier to manage that way. We also have a feature called Time It, which is a punch in and punch out system for volunteers. It's almost like a kiosk where you can punch in as a team member or punch in as an individual and type in your mobile phone number or your PIN number. So it says if you're not Dan Wayne, click no and re-enter your PIN. And then which opportunity are you trying to punch in for? Well, or are you looking to apply? So I'm not, let's go back. Punching in as an individual, I'm putting in my phone number. So I've showed up to the volunteer activity. I'm punching in my phone number. But what this is saying is that I'm not signed up for any opportunities, so I have to apply for the opportunity. So if someone shows up unannounced and they're in your system, you can actually have them sign up for it right there. So help us get started. This is the information about the opportunity. I can punch in from here, and this will then calculate my hours when I either punch out. And if I don't punch out, you remember those settings we set up in the opportunity level, where I mentioned those are the three options where you can either auto log the person out after a certain amount of time or auto calculate the hours for the shift. So we have this punch in and punch out functionality, which is again like a kiosk where you could open up a computer at the volunteer site or open up an iPad at the volunteer site, have that up, and really just have a good a system in place for people to punch in when they arrive. You also have volunteer coordinators in the system, and volunteer coordinators have a limited view of what they can do. So as an admin, you can do everything. A volunteer coordinator has the ability to basically just manage specific opportunities. So I have some different opportunities. So I'll look at the opportunity view for volunteer coordinators. So by looking at dog care, I can see who the coordinators are for that volunteer opportunity. It's Lomi and Lomi. Feel Good Every Day has two different volunteer coordinators, Lamesh and Dan, and you have the ability to say, do I want a user to be this coordinator or a volunteer? So you can select the user or you can select the volunteer, and you select the volunteer from your database. So I'll substitute Andrew Schechtman for Lamesh Shah. You can create new coordinators in the system, create them a username and an email and a password, and when they log into the system, they're only going to have a limited view of what they can do. So I'll log out as the administrator and log in as a just log in as a coordinator. So now when I look at my dashboard, you can see it's a little bit more skimpy than what the admin could see. If I try to do some of the things that I shouldn't be doing, it's going to deny me access. And theoretically, when I go to my or our opportunities and I have some restrictions turned on, it's only going to show me the opportunities that I can manage as a volunteer coordinator that I'm assigned to. So you would see less than 16 opportunities here. I just don't have it set up in the right manner. Finally, before we wrap up, I'll just show our user roles. So we have account management in the system, obviously, that show your logo and your email address and whatnot, but you have application roles, and these are important so that you can set up different roles for different types of users. Right now I just have an admin user, so I'm going to add a new role, and we'll call this VC, or volunteer coordinator role. Okay. Now when you look at the FundlyConnect area, this is basically showing you all of the different allow or deny attributes that you can assign to this volunteer coordinator role. So from opportunity management to configuration and deleting the causes and the different things you've set up, to communications and sending emails from the system, to accessing reports, you can allow or deny, which is very effective in limiting what people can and can't see. So that's application roles. You can, as you can see, you can kind of scroll through here and see all the possibilities, but you can also change your password from this area. We also, as I mentioned, have single sign-on, so we have a CRM as well where you could log into your CRM. There's a few other things that you can do in FundlyConnect from the volunteer center level or from the premium agency level, but I think we've pretty much run out of time today. The last thing I will briefly hit on is what a free account looks like in FundlyConnect. So logging in as a free agency, this is really what a user would look like who's posting to a volunteer center that's not paying for a subscription. So they basically, as you can see, they don't have the ability to create a public site because they're just a free user. They're just simply posting opportunities to the volunteer center. So just like we did from the last account, here now as we're logged in as a free user, we can post opportunities. So let's just open up, let's edit this helping folks opportunity. When I get to the publish section of this opportunity, you'll notice I have a publish to Action Center listed on my option, and I can post this to the volunteer center and also associate it to a program if I desire. So in doing that, when I go to the public site now for Atlanta Charitable Society, you're going to see that this helping folks opportunity is part of the Holiday Helpers program. Pretty much everything else in the system is available except for the Opportunity Widget, the donation widget, and some of the mass changing of volunteer hours and scheduling. That's really only available at the premium level. So for volunteer centers, there are some benefits of having a premium subscription or having your agencies be on the premium subscription if they have more robust volunteer programs. They still have the communication center. They still have the ability to manage and post opportunities to your portal. But really it's just a little bit dumbed down from the paid version of the system. You can see I'm associated to this volunteer center. Okay, if you have any other questions related to the system or related to the different subscriptions that we looked at today, you can go to fundlyconnect.com, or you can email me, and my email address is dan.wayne, W-A-I-N, at fundly.com. So we're expecting a lot of Hands-on Connect customers to migrate over the next 30 to 60 days, and if your subscription is coming up and you're interested in evaluating this, feel free to reach out to me and I can talk you through the migration process. As a final reminder, we are offering a free data migration for Hands-on Connect customers. So there's no charge to actually get your data from Hands-on Connect into FundlyConnect. We're doing that as a free service. And additionally, we're offering a 25% off discount for those clients who do decide to make the transition before the end of March 31st. So look forward to hearing from you all, and thanks very much.
Hey, Dan. Can